Pretty typical with me. My pre-planning never goes well. Well, it goes well. It's just not perfect. First thing I did is this GPS module. Looking at putting it on the airplane. I wanted to mount it right here. Right behind the canopy. And as you can see, the darn thing's so big that it would just really destroy this area. So I ordered another CAN bus GPS that's smaller. This one will fit right in that area with no real problems. I might move it all the way to the back like that to leave a lot of foam here. And just let the wires go right down through the top to the flight controller. Hope the wires are long enough. That's one of the problems with these larger aircraft. Yeah, I don't think this wire is going to be long enough. I don't think it will get from there down to the bottom of that fuselage. Isn't that something? It may get back to the flight controller. Just barely, though. Just barely. So, yeah, I'm going to have to put it as near the back here as I can. So there's as much length as possible. Man. But again, with the larger airplanes, everything has to have more length, and a lot of the stuff's just not set up straight out of the box for that. Did get in the barrel connectors, and there's some in there that will perfectly fix this problem. I'm going to take the barrel connector that's on there off. I'm not going to add another point by soldering them onto the existing barrel connectors. I'm just going to replace these 3 barrel connectors. So that's all good. So I've also decided to try to lengthen the wires on that airspeed sensor. The GPS I was going to use, well, the kind of GPS modules I like to use, had a, come on, focus, had a CAN bus on this side that would go down to the flight controller, and then this was an I2C bus. So I like that, having the flight controller someplace going up to the GPS module, and then from there going on up to the airspeed sensor, because that gives me maximum length. But the smaller GPS I ordered, this is a M10Q 3100. The smaller one just has a CAN bus on it. So the only thing I can really do is extend the wires on the airspeed connector. So my pre-planning frequently goes this way. Well, it's half the fun for me, is figuring out how to make it work. And if I have to, I will extend these wires. Although I hate cutting wires and putting wire in the middle. That's 2 different solder points. Just adds resistance, etc., etc. It's just not optimal. But we'll see. I'll go ahead and start measuring the top of this canopy for this module to go in. We'll see what we can do with that. Well, there's my hole for the GPS and the cable to go through. I didn't mess with the front part of this where the tab goes in for the hatch at all. There's still substantial foam underneath, so Let's see here. If I can get this little wire to go down through the hole I poked with a screwdriver. A little assistance from a skewer here. Oops. All right. There we go. Ah. And there we are. So there's the GPS mounted where I want it mounted. Again, hope this is long enough, but also again, these larger models aren't really set up for a lot of the wiring that comes with this stuff. It's kind of set up for smaller models. Rightly so. So I'll store this GPS module back over in the drawer for use on something else. I always start out trying to use the parts I have on hand. And as you see, for me, that doesn't always work out. There's the GPS hot glued in. Wires going down as close as they can to where the wing will touch. That flight controller in there is positioned in almost the position it will be in. Not quite. It will be up a little higher because of the vibration mount that I'm going to use on it. I'll just put it up another 1/4 of an inch or so, 3/8 of an inch, which I don't know will help a lot. But the length of the wire, as you can see, is not going to be enough for me to glue it up along the top and then come down the side and then come over. Just not going to be long enough, and I'm not going to extend it, which is a bummer, which means if I ever have to reach my hand into here for working with the landing gear in the back or anything, I'm going to have to worry about stressing those wires. So that GPS is just GPS. That flight controller's just in there with a little piece of double-sided tape to let me decide on if that wire would be long enough. I measured back from here to here for the center of gravity. That's about where it is, and that's, you know, that flight controller's almost exactly on the center of gravity in there. But I haven't fixed it down yet because the mount goes underneath it. I did install the airspeed sensor. It's hot glued in right there. I'm going to extend these wires to get back to the flight controller. I used the tubing that came with it. And just put it over here and up in the front where it looks pretty good to me. I also did install the servo in the bottom, but no control linkages or control horns on it yet. Like I say, I'm going to put this in. I've got my motor over here to put the barrel connectors on it. These are the wires I'm going to use to extend the I2C bus on the airspeed sensor. Then I've got to solder up the flight controller, which I'll have to get in a mood where I'm ready to do all that soldering. I don't know if that'll be today or not. I also need to solder up the LiDAR, which is just 3 wires. That comes straight through the bottom up to the flight controller. Now I've got to solder 6 connectors here for the telemetry. So I'll take those over there too. After I change the barrel connectors on this ESC, it'll be ready to connect up. But I'm going to solder these two wires directly to the flight controller. That'll almost get me everything done except for the video transmitter and camera part. The part I need to finish up the camera system was shipped today. It's supposed to arrive 2 days from now, this Friday. We'll see if it does or not. Well, there's the vibration dampening mount installed in the airplane with some double-sided tape. As close to the center of gravity as I can place it. And then we'll put the flight controller on top of that. I've never used one of those before. I hope it'll help a little. I don't know that it's needed. It was really cheap. I decided to try one of them. I'm going to put one on the flame wheel too. Alright, let's continue along. Actually, let's just go ahead and break this video here, in keeping with my desire to try to keep these videos as short as possible now. Thank you.